Some of my first memories were of my very first home, when I was around 3 or 4. As a child, you have a sense of wonder. You're open and ready to take in information, even if that information is false. You play and laugh as if the world is made of magic. When you're little, something as simple as going into the basement can be terrifying, but not for me. In the basement of my first home, adjacent to the laundry room, was a room that housed the oil burner on one side, and on the other side of the room was a floor-to-ceiling mural of a view of the Earth from the moon. It was taken on one of our various trips there. It is a testament to human achievement. It's so beautiful. Maybe some of you can remember being a little kid and seeing a photo like this. Your mind a flurry with thoughts. You could imagine flying through space and landing there just to stare back at that little blue gem. And that's our home. No one ever tells you that your wonder can be stunted, stammered, and squashed into the ground by 10 minutes of listening to this man. And his effect on you will radiate throughout your entire life, such that scientific inquiry doesn't matter, and that no matter what kind of evidence is shown to you, you're completely unwilling to accept it because you're afraid. How long do you think it would take for you to face that fear? Addie, have you ever tried any other methods to calm down, like meditation? The way she says meditation, I don't quite hear it right and think the word medication, which I have tried many times. I realize this before answering her, and then I say, yeah, I learned a martial art for a few years. Okay. Have you ever tried to think positively about your life and use positive words? Yeah, I think the last thing I need is more words to obsess about. Annie, do you always assume what someone's going to say before they say it? Honestly, I'm just trying to get you to feel better here. You show up at the ER saying that you're suicidal and that you need help, and I can see that you do. She's a very unconventional therapist. She rolls her eyes at everything I say. Yep, I'm an angry son of a bitch. Angry, yes. Son of a bitch, no. Look, we've gone round and round about how you think everything's your fault and you can't fix anything. My mind wanders from what she's speaking. I'm lost in thought. A few months after moving out of the apartment, I collapsed. Not literally. I began to drink obsessively, excessively, and exercise obsessively and excessively. I had gotten a shitty job that paid less, a lot less than what I was used to making. I hated it. After telling Dana the truth, I had sworn up and down to keep it to myself, and it ate me up inside. There were too many unanswered questions for me to have just said that to her. Eddie, are you listening to me? Lost in thought. I kind of acknowledge what she's saying, and then out of the blue, I say, I think I'm gay. Oh, okay. What makes you think that? There's visible shock on her face. Well, for the past 2 or 3 years, I've been in love with this one guy that I know I can't have, and it's just ridiculous, and I trail off. How long have you been thinking things like this? All my life. I'm just not sure. I don't get it. If I can have sex with a girl, doesn't that mean I'm straight? Not necessarily, sweetheart. Look, we're out of time. I want you to spend the next week thinking about what you've just told me, and everything that's led you here. Maybe something will come up, okay? Many nights after the separation, I would lie awake contemplating where I had gone wrong. Now I'm supposed to think about what led me here. Ugh. Why did I say that? I asked my empty bedroom. I scratched my head and look around as if my guitar could give me the answers. Maybe the lamp. It's pitch black and drab. My things are still laying around unpacked. I've been living out of a suitcase. Under the covers, my foot meanders to the side my wife used to sleep on. I'm still not used to this, so I move my foot away as if her protesting leg had shoved it back. But why did I say that? I may have been too hasty. I mean, come on. What is there about me that's so gay? I like death metal and beer and farting in public, and I watch football and jockstraps, showers, and muscle. Okay, no. I can't be gay. I don't even listen to Barbra Streisand. Well, except when she does this. But everyone loves that. There's an open beer on the nightstand. I guzzle it hoping it will make me sleep. Of course, it doesn't. I began to question everything. Every moment, every highlight that I've shared with all of you. And some I haven't. I questioned my obsessions, my religion, and my sexuality. Every choice I had made that led me here. Alone away from my kids, staring at an alien ceiling covered in cheap stucco that could be made out into shapes. If I squinted hard enough, I could see them. A giraffe, an elephant, a dog, a penis. What else is there to do? I got bored. I watched a lot of TV, read a lot of books, and spent way too much time thinking. Intermittently, however, I would entertain myself by watching the entire non-stamp collector catalog. I didn't really know why. I just found him funny, and I was willing to give him a chance. I mean, why not? Isn't this how you become open-minded? By allowing yourself to listen to other people's opinions? Problem was, I wasn't ready to critically evaluate anything that he said. I was trying to be open-minded when I caught this movie about success, about living the life you want and obtaining it with just your thoughts. Make a picture, make a poster, make a thought, make a life. Is it possible? Have you ever been duped by someone? Have you ever accepted something as true just because you felt it was right? I'm sure you have. It seems I would have to be duped just one more time. I had a new philosophy. Think positively and the universe would give me what I wanted. I had learned the secret, and now all I had to do was pull myself together. My mind was already tuned to seeing signs in everything, even when they weren't Christian signs. Admittedly, I understood that my religious life had led me to make a lot of decisions that were harmful. Harmful to me, harmful to others. I set aside these things because I still wanted God in my life. I chose to believe in God because, well, I was afraid. It's perhaps my time alone and my unwavering obsession with destruction that led me to also see some significance in the date of December 21st, 2012. I was worried that even though there was a preponderance of evidence against anything happening on that date, that something still may happen. I let this worry occupy a small corner in my mind, thus adding to my anxiety at the time. I hadn't been taught how to evaluate evidence or critically think about anything. I was worried that the Earth's pole was going to shift or Nibiru was going to hit us, or whatever foolish machinations had spread around the internet or on the History Channel. What I find the most curious about my life, especially at that time, was a dominant and overreaching theme of the sciences being there, even when I didn't notice it. I liked knowing bits and pieces of physics, biology, astronomy. I knew very little about how the scientific method worked, or how any knowledge in any field was obtained. I was more than willing to look up things about 2012, but even when faced with the evidence that nothing would happen, such as from Neil deGrasse Tyson, I would still reject it. It was almost as if I enjoyed being in a perpetual state of anxiety. But in the meantime, I put my new spirituality to the test. I wanted a better job. I wanted a better job than the one I was presently at. A week after willing this, I got a call from the company that I still presently work at. It was a higher paying job, and it was better work. I was capable of making my child support payments on time, and I could listen to music all day. And I could also listen to YouTube all day. It seemed evident that when I asked for something and truly believed that I could receive it, it would come to me. It seemed evident that this was true because I would ask for things, and they did come. At work, I would put this to the test by thinking about a cup of coffee, and then instantaneously a person would bring me a cup of coffee. I didn't even have to pay for it, just showed my appreciation and then drank it. Though, at the time, my mind probably wouldn't have put together the fact that I was in an office where coffee was consumed more than water. But that wouldn't have deterred me anyway, because I would think positively about my interactions with other people, including my ex-wife. I didn't want to argue with her about anything. I just wanted everything to be okay. I would think about having a positive time with her and a positive time with my children, and that would happen. All because of my thoughts. Also, I was sort of letting in the devil. Along with the non-stamp catalog, I had discovered a plethora of other people who had gone over the same ideas that he did, though from different perspectives. It wasn't necessarily about atheism. It could have been about science, or astronomy, or physics, all things that I was interested in. A lot of it was hard to hear and hard to swallow, but I wouldn't just accept it offhand. I mean, that would be stupid. Some of the videos were scathing rebukes of creationists, one of whom I recognized very well, because I remember him from my late teenage years, possibly my youth. It was weird, listening to him as an adult rather than as a younger person. Again, part of my mind still didn't want to accept the theory of evolution as true. I mean, after all, if you accepted that, that meant there was no God, right? I decided to do my own research and look into the subject myself. It was my hobby. I hadn't realized that the evidence for evolution was voluminous, and that the majority of things that I had been taught about it just weren't true. I looked into the subject of critical thinking because I had never heard of it. What the fuck is that? Well, the more I learned about these subjects, the less anxiety I felt, especially when considering whether or not there was actually a God. By the time I understood how evolution worked, at least on a basic level, before I went back to college, I still believed. Of course I still believed. Because even if you understand how the theory of evolution works, that doesn't mean that there's no God. That just meant that humans and monkeys and chimpanzees all evolved from a common ancestor. That we are apes. Okay? I'm okay with that. In the short time that I was able to educate myself on subjects, even from a basic level, I had decided that going back to school might be the best idea, even if I wasn't going full-time. So whether spiritual or Christian spiritual, whichever way I wanted to consider thinking about it, I was still a believer in things unseen, and without substantiative evidence. And I was okay with that, too.